Language learning seems straightforward. Study vocabulary, practice grammar, take tests. But what if the secret to mastering a new language isn't about memorization at all, but about completely rewiring your brain?
That's such an intriguing perspective. What made you start thinking about this?
Well, I came across this fascinating case study from Vietnam, where two students had drastically different English test results. One scored 9 out of 10, while the other got just 4/10. But here's what's interesting. The difference wasn't about natural talent or luck. It was about their fundamental approach to thinking in the language.
Hmm, that's quite a significant gap. How did their approaches differ?
The successful student, Lily, developed this remarkable 5-step system that completely bypasses the traditional translation method. Instead of converting every thought from Vietnamese to English, she created direct neural pathways for English thinking, starting with simple object naming and building up to complete thoughts.
That reminds me of recent neurolinguistic research showing how language acquisition actually creates new neural networks. Did they discuss the science behind this approach?
Well, what's fascinating is how Lily's method aligns perfectly with current cognitive science. She intuitively developed a system that mirrors how our brains naturally acquire language. She starts with basic object association, then progresses to simple sentences, much like how children learn their first language.
That's exactly what the latest studies suggest about optimal language acquisition. How does she handle the practical challenges of implementing this in a non-English speaking environment?
She's got these incredibly creative solutions, like creating what she calls English bubbles throughout the day, using earphones to listen to English content while walking, changing phone settings to English, even narrating daily activities in English. But here's the key insight. She emphasizes that these need to be consistent, daily practices rather than intensive cramming sessions.
That approach to creating artificial immersion is brilliant. Did they explore any data about its effectiveness?
You know what's interesting? Their uncle mentioned that students using similar methods in Vietnam are seeing average test score improvements of 40 to 50% within just a few months. But beyond test scores, they're also reporting much higher confidence in real-world English interactions.
Those are impressive results. How do they suggest maintaining motivation through the inevitable plateaus?
Lily has this great perspective on motivation. She ties language learning directly to tangible outcomes. She talks about Vietnamese professionals who've doubled their income through English fluency and how English proficiency opens doors to international opportunities. She even uses travel as motivation, promising her friend Will a trip to Thailand once he improves.
That connection to real-world outcomes must be powerful. What specific tools or resources did they recommend?
Here's where it gets really practical. They suggest using TED Talks with English subtitles, but watching in 30-second chunks and repeating until natural. They also recommend keeping an English diary and using language exchange apps. But what's particularly clever is how they integrate these tools into daily life rather than treating them as separate study sessions.
Well, that's such a sustainable approach to language learning. What were the key takeaways for someone wanting to try this method?
The most crucial insight is that successful language learning isn't about studying harder. It's about studying differently. Start with basic object naming, progress to simple sentences, create daily English moments, and most importantly, stop translating in your head. And you know what's fascinating? This approach has shown particular success in Asian countries where the native language structure is very different from English.
That's really transformative thinking about language acquisition. What future implications do you see from this approach?
Looking ahead, this could revolutionize how we teach languages in schools. Instead of focusing on grammar rules and vocabulary lists, we might see more emphasis on creating these immersive thinking environments. And with the rise of remote work, the ability to think directly in English could become an even more crucial economic skill.
So, what you're saying is that it's not just about learning a language, it's about rewiring our brains for a more connected world?
Exactly. And that's what makes this so powerful. It's not just about passing tests or getting better grades. It's about fundamentally changing how we process and interact with language. In today's global economy, that kind of cognitive flexibility isn't just helpful, It's becoming essential for success.